Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at NuScale power. It is time for another update, and on this chart we are tracking this idea of a double 1-2-1-2 setup, and for now we are still holding the area of support, and we can even start looking for a third wave to be up to the upside to be forming. However, we have not yet broken here above the relevant resistance area in the smaller time frame, and we will get to it in a moment. And not only that, if we actually end up forming another low, I could actually consider this a 5-wave move to the downside, and I would need to be prepared for even extensions lower. However, even with the current low that we have, even with the current structure in this area, and even with an additional low that could be added, I am still able to track a full pattern within this correction. So technically it wouldn't be direct doom if we form in this case a 5-wave move to the downside. It is more debatable in or on this chart, because I could be tracking this as an ABC structure, in which case we would actually have a full pattern in the correction in that wave 2 in that case. Now, with that said, we are still focusing here on the area of support that extends all the way down to the $15.6 level, where a break here below the 78.6% retracement would suggest that the probabilities for forming another high within this area have decreased significantly. Now, even if that is the case, even if it breaks, I wouldn't expect direct breakthrough, direct crash to the downside. I could easily still see a reversal forming in a possible larger pattern where, yeah, maybe this is a singular larger wave 1 we have here, a larger wave 2 to be forming. Yeah, maybe in that case the wave 1 top would be even here, but then we would have here a wave 2 to be forming, in which we would need a larger ABC movement to actually complete the entire correction. Now, that wouldn't be a problem. Technically, from the large time frame perspective, it will actually fit very nicely, although, yeah, it isn't necessarily the prettiest structure which would have formed in this area, and even in that interpretation, I would still prefer another high actually. But just some ideas out there to explain that even if we break here below the area of support and we are to head into the deeper area, into the larger different scenario in a 1-2, I could easily still see a quite significant relief rally before we actually head into such an interpretation. Yeah, there would be plenty of opportunities most likely to get some of these positions accumulated in this area and at least set some stop losses that could even be in profit. Now, no guarantees, this is just something I find rather more likely than not, but this is something in contrast to the idea of a third wave forming to the upside, which is something very plausible. I am actually tracking a very similar pattern on the nanonuclear energy chart. But for example, on the Oklo chart, I would actually prefer another low into the area of support, where while on the Oklo chart we have been rallying much more than on these other two, right now it is in a rougher spot since it has broken its relevant areas of support. Now, with that said, here in the shorter time frame we have been tracking a couple of ideas. So for the correction to be complete in this area, we have been tracking two main ideas, either a WXY pattern, in which case we would be looking for a completion of this correction already done, and then we also have here the ABC structure, in which case we could easily form another low and still have this only form the correction in the wave 2. Now, I could also consider again the wave 1 top here, and I could still track here an ABC structure, but it would be all the same with what we are tracking here in the wave Y in blue. So in the end, it doesn't matter too much. That is the main point. This structure, it has enough waves to be complete, and we don't need any additional lows, which is why since the previous video we were much more prepared for a reversal to the upside. However, as I was mentioning in the previous video, we do still need to break here relevant areas of resistance. Now, we were tracking here internally this area of resistance for a wave 4 either in orange or in white. Now, since we have already extended so largely, out of proportions within this wave 4, while the area of resistance is still relevant, I wouldn't necessarily be tracking it within the orange interpretation, where I would remove now that interpretation for a wave 4 and the fifth still as part of this structure. Yeah, in the orange scenario here we were tracking a 1, 2, 3, 4, a fourth here and a fifth to the downside within the wave C in blue, and we are still tracking here a possible fourth and a fifth, but it will be within this white interpretation which we have now on the chart, but honestly, yeah, I should probably be tracking this overall interpretation in orange. And in white, we can track the possibility of a bottom here, yeah? Now, in the previous video, I was looking to break here above the $21.3 level for a signal that this structure to the downside is likely not going to see extensions, and it took a while, but we managed to do that. Now, I am only really considering this as the larger wave 4 that could actually send us into a follow-up wave 5 to the downside, but right now, we are actually holding quite nicely within the areas of support, and I may even be able to track an impulse to be forming to the upside in this area, where I could be considering this a 1, 2, then another 1, 2 here, and then here we are forming a third wave in which I would actually expect still further extensions. Now, unfortunately, within this correction, we are dragging on quite a bit, and I would like it to have already bottomed here, which is technically possible, because my preferred interpretation would be where I would be looking here for, yeah, maybe even on the 15-minute time frame it is better, but I would be looking here for something like, yeah, even a 1, 2, a third wave up, fourth wave down, and I would like to see a fifth wave form in this area. Now, the thing is, in this case, we are quite very much towards the end of this area of support. We are almost, actually we might have, no, we haven't quite touched here the 50% retracement, but in this interpretation we may need to be prepared to have to fail such a structure, because yeah, within this internal possible 1-2 setup we have retraced quite deeply already, and I wouldn't be surprised to see here still an extension in a larger ABC correction. Well, in that case I would need mostly to zoom out and even consider a different pattern possible in this area to leave you with a more meaningful area of support, and yeah, possibly even consider here a larger 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th, where in this wave 3 or in this overall structure we could be tracking a leading diagonal to the upside. Now, in that case, I could allow a much deeper retracement all the way down to the 61.8% retracement, which extends all the way down to the $20 level. And if we are to break even here, the 61.8% retracement, well, I would have to say it is rather likely than not that this overall structure will extend with another low. Yeah, we will only have here, yeah, not even the ABC pattern would look fully complete. It might be something like a WXY structure, in which case, yeah, we should be prepared for a completion here within the wave 4 and look for a fifth wave already to the downside. But yeah, that would be quite a serious extension right now. At the moment, we are even holding that internal 1, 2, 3, 4th area of support. We could be looking for the fifth, but again, it is fragile, it is on a very small time frame, and I want you to have a more meaningful area of support that you know that if this is broken, well, we should be prepared for a much more significant correction. We shouldn't start accumulating in this area necessarily. We should be prepared for a more serious continuation lower, because we wouldn't have a reliable structure to track to the upside directly. Now, with that said, if we manage to hold, however, I will resume to tracking a more bullish interpretation. I just want you to be aware that this is quite a bearish movement that has occurred in this area, quite a lot of weakness going on compared to what we would expect based on the structure that has formed in this area, which is why, again, we are tracking this overall larger pattern. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.